Now I would give a quick demonstration on how you can build your own mCube app using our low-code framework. So this offers complete analytics democratization, and it empowers users across all functions in the organization to build their own tcgmcube app. They would leverage the low-code interface to literally build these apps within minutes. As a part of the demonstration, we'll show the drag and drop interface, which we use for the front-end design using our comprehensive widget library. We would also show how we can use registered APIs to fetch data or invoke AI functionalities from the mCube app. So as a part of the demo, we will start with a blank screen. So here I see a new screen. So step one would be for me to relabel that. So I go on the right-hand side and save the screen as my tcgmcube app. So this is going to be my starting canvas on which I would use the low-code framework and different drag and drop options to build my mCube app. On the left-hand side, I can click on the library, which shows me all the different components that are available. So we have different shape objects, could be a square or a circle. We have different chart options available. The combo chart, for example, is a very popular component that's used on these screens. There are different user input options. So there could be radio buttons, multi-select drop-downs. I could use a component for, in taking in text as an input. I could also use an image box, which means I could embed images on that particular box. There are other options such as tabular views and so on. So my tcgmcube app would take in different lab data as an input. So analyte data, sample data, and using advanced analytics model on the screen, I want to establish a quick relationship between analyte concentration and instrument response. That is the goal of the tcgmcube app, which I'm trying to build. So step one is I would drag different filter objects on the screen, typically the drop downs, using which I would fetch the data. So I click on the select option. That gives me options for the drop down. I would go and click on that edit icon and then specify, what are the values in the drop down. We could do this in a couple of ways. We can enter user defined values for the drop down, or we could actually connect it to a field on the data side so that the drop down populates from that specific field in the data set. For now, we go with method 1, method 2. We can, on the format object, we can click on drop down to kind of indicate that this is the drop down. We also have a single select and multi-select option. For the purpose of this demo, we'll keep this as a single select, and we can put a label. So here I put in select method as a label for this drop down. So this is step 1. So the user would need to select the method. Now for this use case, I would need to add another filter. So I drag that out, and this one's going to be configured to help me choose the plate or the array. So again, I would go in and I could type out the different plates, names of different plates which I want to appear, or I can quickly add a query which can be provided by the administrator to effectively pull stuff from the database. I will indicate this is a drop down and a single select, put in my own custom label for this, and we are ready with this drop down. Finally, I would add another select box, which would help me choose the model, the advanced analytics model that I'm planning to use. For my use case, I'm interested in options such as linear and nonlinear regression such as 4PL and 5PL. So I would add that option and again make the necessary changes, and I would change the label to select model. Now I'm ready. So all of these drop downs in top is going to help me fetch the data from the data store. Now I would need to add a button, which would be the submit button, after which, after selecting the data, I would need to click on this button to invoke the action or the AI model. So now that I've added the button on the screen, I need to associate certain actions or events with the button. When I expand the event section, on the on click, I will associate a certain API. So I select the execute query option. And then on the select box, I would choose the specific API that I plan to use. And then I would just relabel the box to say, maybe submit run model, because that's what we are trying to do here. So once we do that, you will see the button on the screen. So now that button can be used to call that specific API, which would help us run the model. So now that I've set up my run model button, I would now drag a chart object on the screen. I will be using this chart object to view the results from the modeling. So I've dragged this combo chart out. Now, the first step for me would be to associate the relevant data with this chart object, for which I would click on the edit option and then specify the source of the chart data. Now, this could be an API, so we can just say I have a pre-configured API, so get model results. Alternatively, I could also type in a script directly. Both options are available. Now that we have bound this to the relevant data, the data fields are visible at the bottom. So we have the sample name, the nominal concentration, and the calculated concentration, and the percentage relative error. The next step for me is to associate each of these fields with either the x-axis or the y-axis. So we'll start with the sample name. That's the field that we want on the x-axis. So I will choose the x-axis. Going back, I will associate the next one, the nominal concentration, on the y-axis. I can change the color over here. And then the third field would also get associated with the y-axis. So calculated concentration, we choose the y-axis, and again, I can change the color. And then the final field I also want on the y-axis, but then that's a percentage value, which means I have to invoke a secondary axis. So on this drop-down, I'll choose y1, which is the secondary axis. Now, this is the percentage relative error, which I want associated with the secondary axis, but I also want that as a line chart. So we change the chart type by clicking on that. So now that gets depicted as a line. So my first chart of my mCube app is now ready. I will now go ahead and add another visualization object on the screen. So let's say we want to add a pie chart, because as a part of my app, I want to see the outcome of the model and the final status that gets associated with each of the samples. So once we have dragged out the pie chart, we'll click on the edit option and bind that to the data. Again, I can specify the specific API for this, or paste out the exact script, whichever is convenient for the user. Both options are available. Then we can go ahead and do the formatting as well on this. We have an option of choosing either a donut or a complete pie chart. We can put the title of that specific one, which is we type it out as a status distribution. So my second graph is now ready. I can resize the graph and put it on, paste it on a specific location on the canvas. So let's assume we are done with both our graphs. And now I want to drag a tabular view, which would show me the coefficients from the model. To create the tabular view, I would drag out a table object on the screen from the menu. The first step would be to associate specific data with this table, for which I'll go into the edit option and specify either the API or put in the specific script. So we can go with the specific API here. Once we've associated the specific data set with the table, we can see the table now displays the coefficient from the model results. I will resize this a little bit and place it at the bottom of the pie chart. Now I will add the final component on my mCube app. It's going to be another table. because I want to see the detailed results from the model and also enable certain user interactions on my MCube app. We go down, I drag that out. My first step is to bind that with the specific data, which I can either do by specifying the API, or I could, paste the script as whatever is convenient for me. So let's go with the API name. And next step would be to associate the user interaction options. So on the status field, I'll go and edit that and make that a user editable field. So the column type would be changed to input. And the other option, the masked column, I want to change that to a switch, which the user can essentially toggle. So I'll choose the switch option. Now my table is ready, and we have our basic MCube app lined up. Now that we have the screen ready, let's do some quick formatting changes. So as a first step, we can insert a section divider. So basically, we want to separate out the input part of the screen from the output. So we put in that divider. We'll use the line object to do that. As a next step, let's try changing some of the font sizes. So we can go in there and click on the edit option and change the font and the font size as needed. You can also change the x-axis font size. Now that we are done with this, we can go ahead and maybe change the table header. We can put in colors to match the rest of the theme. Similarly, I can follow the same pattern on the table at the bottom. So I change the header color and the header font. I could also change the size of the body text. In this way, I can work on various formatting options to make the look more cohesive. Once I'm done, now I'm ready to do a preview of the entire application. I can go on the preview option on top. So now I'm ready to test this out. So on the method dropdown that we select method 1, I will then need to choose the array or the plate. I'll go with array 1, and then I can select the model. So over here, I will choose the 5PL nonlinear regression. Then I click on run model. So this is now running the specific algorithm, and then we see the outcome of those algorithms on the screen here. So on the left, it is showing me the actual versus model concentration. It's giving me the status distribution, and I can also see the coefficients of the regression model that I've just fit. Moving down, this provides a detailed tabular view. Here I have several interaction options. So on the status column, we can see that the first one's a fail and everything is a pass. Now and this is an editable box, so the user can go in and do an override. So maybe for calibrator 2, I can go ahead and type that as a fail. And then I can choose to mask certain samples as well using the switch. So I'll go ahead and mask a few of the samples. Once I've done this, I can now rerun the model. So once I click on run, it's going to choose select only the non-masked data set to fit the model. Now all the coefficients are regenerated and the graph gets refreshed. So now we are done with running and seeing the preview of the MCube app. Now I am ready to publish that so that the select and authorized set of users can access and use the app that I've just created. So that completes the demonstration of the self-service MCube app.